Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is A Year at Catholic Mass, and I think this is video number 18 if I'm not mistaken. And today is April 27th, 2025, and this is a Divine Mercy Sunday. And this is like the first Sunday after Easter is called Divine Mercy Sunday. Okay, so I looked through the bulletin like 5 or 6 times, and they did not put the readings like little excerpts from the readings at all, because they have a lot of pictures in here of Easter and things like that. So I'm just going to read the number or the verse and everything of the reading itself, and then I'll just talk about the last one. Okay, so I got to put my spectacles on. Okay. So the first one is from Acts of the Apostles, and this is chapter 5, 12 to 16, verse 12 to 16. Second reading was from the book of Revelations, chapter 1, 9 to 11a. Oh, and the psalm was Psalm 118. And the gospel reading was from the Gospel of John, and that's chapter 20, verse 19 to 31. Okay, so this reading from the gospel talked about Thomas, and Thomas was the one, we all know the phrase doubting Thomas, okay, and that comes from the fact that he doubted, he doubted that Christ had come back from the dead, okay. All right, so it started out where all the apostles, except for Thomas, were having a meeting, I guess, some kind of meeting, and they were hiding from the Jews. And so so then all of a sudden someone comes in and it's Jesus. And so he speaks to them. He says, I give you peace. It's all about peace, right? He's always given everybody peace. So Jesus says, I give you peace. And so then he leaves. Okay, so then the apostles tell Thomas what happened. And Thomas is like, no, unless I see poke my finger into the wound of his hands and put my hand in the wound of his side, I just don't believe you. I don't believe it. So then when they had their next meeting, Jesus shows up again. Okay. And this time, and he goes to Thomas specifically. And he says, Thomas, it's me. Do you believe me now? And so Thomas says, I believe you now. I believe you, and you are God. Okay. So the priest said that a lot of people have the same kind of mentality as Thomas. Okay. And I do. Okay. I do. I really do. And so, and he goes, but I don't think anyone in here has seen Jesus. And so then I started to think, that's true, right? How come throughout the ages, right? We're talking 2,000 years, right? 2,100 years and now, something like that. How come there has been no reported sightings of Jesus? Because there's been a lot of sightings of Mary, right? Our Lady of Guadalupe, Our Lady of Fatima. There's been a lot of sightings of Mary, but why no sightings of Jesus? And how come? And if somebody saw Jesus, would they even be believed, or would what I mean? Because I believe that Jesus is a ghost, and he's here. He's still here, just like Mary. That's how come people see them or see Mary, right? Because they didn't go anywhere. They're just ghosts on the earth, and they're still here. So, but then, if I say that, right, then I must not believe in this whole thing where Jesus has already gone back to heaven and he's sitting there, and then everybody's waiting for him to come back. But, that doesn't really make any sense, because in this gospel, according to John, he came back. And he was talking to the apostles, and then he came back again, and then he was talking to Thomas. So he's come back multiple times, and I'm pretty sure that he came back other times, but I just don't know that because I haven't read or I haven't heard the times and the gospel readings here when he came back. So anyway, so the priest said it's okay if you are doubtful, and then he pointed out that after Thomas saw God or saw Jesus, then he believed. Okay, and so I think that would be me. I think so. I think so. But that's okay. That's okay. And then, so then the priest said that today was the sixth novena for Pope Francis, because Francis died last Monday. He died on Easter Monday. And so he had a big portrait of the Pope, in front of the church. And he goes, that's my portrait. I brought that in because the one that we had here was just too small, and so I brought this one in. And so he told the story of how he had gone to some art exhibit with his sister. And he lives with his sister. And he saw this portrait of Pope Francis. And he really liked it, etc. And so the artist is a man named, I think he said, I want to say Hoyos or something. Something. He lives in Sun City in a retirement community. And he complimented him on the painting, told him how much he liked it. So then, I guess a few weeks later, the artist gave this priest the portrait of Francis. And so then Francis took it home, and then they put it in the living room, and he, like I said, he lives with his sister. And the sister said, I don't want the Pope looking at me all day, I want you to move that. And so he put it in his bedroom. And so then after a while, he didn't want the picture of the Pope in his bedroom either, so they moved it back into the living room. And because the sister said she missed it in the living room, so they moved it back into the living room. And he didn't want it in his bedroom anymore either, because every day he woke up and he's like looking at Pope Francis. I mean, this is what he said. I don't really grasp it, what the purpose of that was. But anyway, so he brought the picture back, and so to the living room, and then for this novena, I guess, I don't know how many novenas there are. I'm not even sure what a novena is. I think it's a prayer, or maybe it's like a special mass or something. I don't know. But I think it is. I think it's a special mass. So that's right. He said that the novena, there's a novena number 6 is coming up or something. I honestly, I don't know. So so he brought the portrait back to the church. And what else? Let's see what else. Yeah, so that's about it. People, when they go to communion, they get their communion. A lot of them, they get the communion and they put it in their mouth and they just walk out the door, and that's the end of the Mass for them. But I sit there, and a lot of people still sit there, and so they have more like not lectures, but more announcements. So there's like a deacon there, this younger guy, and he's told us that he is going to be ordained as a priest. Yeah, he's going to be ordained as a priest, and then in a few months, and then once he's ordained, he will be leaving this church, and he's going to go to a church in Venice, Florida, where he's from. Then, what else? Yeah, so they move the priests around the country to where they're needed, So that's where he's going. He's going back. And then the other thing they said was they're going to be showing the movie Les Miserables, and that's going to be tomorrow, I think, at 1 o'clock. So I think I might go see that because I know the gist of the story, but I've never seen it. I didn't see the play. I didn't see anything. So I think I'm going to go to, hear the story of Jean Valjean and what happened to him. But anyway, so I think I'll do that. So anyway, that's what happened today, and just it's, I went walking around the Stations of the Cross. It's really hot. Again, it's humid today here in Southeast Florida, Delray Beach. So anyway, that's it. So thank you for coming to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.